What's up? Welcome in to the latest episode of Pod Like a Champion, the blueandgold.com recruiting show. I'm Patrick Engel, joined as always by our recruiting insider, Mike Singer. It's Tuesday, June 29th, 2020. Thanks to those of you who are joining us live on YouTube for this episode. Starting off what's been a very busy week in Notre Dame recruiting with two rather exciting pledges for Notre Dame fans, starting off the 2023 class with none other than a head-to-head win over Ohio State for a top 10 recruit from Ohio, Brennan Vernon, and that comes a day after Notre Dame landed its first 2023 commitment, defensive end Keon Keeley from Florida, beating out all the Florida schools. Mike, wow, what a wild and impressive start to 2023 for Notre Dame. One, credit to you for on our previous show a couple weeks ago calling that, hey, this could happen with Vernon. But still, a couple months ago even, I can't imagine you were thinking that this could be how the 23 class starts for Notre Dame.
Yeah, Keeley is definitely the one that I was like, in my first interactions with him, when he was like asking me about how I got into this career and how my day was, I was like, all right, this kid's going to Notre Dame. Like, that one was kind of obvious. But the Vernon one, if you would have told me, like, let's just say May 1, that he was going to commit to Notre Dame in June, I would have probably chuckled. I had been reporting that Notre Dame is more in this than people thought. Others just felt like it was a complete long shot for Notre Dame. That was never what I was personally hearing. But still, even I still didn't think it was going to happen, so huge recruiting win for Notre Dame. I wrote this in my 10 Things to Know column about Vernon. In covering Notre Dame for a couple years, I've really learned that and this is not me being a homer, because I'm not. Notre Dame is just a special place, and it just attracts people that it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense that Lorenzo Styles picked Notre Dame over Ohio State. It doesn't make sense that Deion Colsey picked Notre Dame over Georgia. Like, it doesn't make sense Brennan Vernon picked Notre Dame over Ohio State. There's just some recruitments, Patrick, that Notre Dame just wins because it just attracts a certain type of kid that wants to go do something different. And that was certainly the case here.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see plenty of those that Notre Dame doesn't win, where in-state kid goes to popular in-state school. But yeah, I think every now and again, yes, you certainly see some of those like natural cultural fits per se that the recruit is very cognizant of and picks up on to want to go there. But why don't we get into Keon Keeley first, just to give our live audience time to get in here as you guys roll in at the start of our show. But first, want to make sure you guys are subscribed to our podcast if you're listening on podcast format, or subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching us back or watching us live. Just hit that subscribe button below this video, and if you'd be so kind to hit that thumbs up button, helps us reach more people. And you can follow us on Twitter. Follow me at Patrick Engel _. That's ENGEL. And you can follow Mike at Rivals _Singer. And if you'd be so kind, if you're listening on podcast, please leave us a rating, leave us a review. If you like what you hear, leave us 5 stars and nice comments, and we'll love you forever. And for our live audience, you can drop us a super chat here. We are very easily bought, and that'll make sure that we get to answering your questions when we get to that segment later in the show. So, Mike, Keon Keeley, defensive end from Tampa's Berkeley Prep, picking Notre Dame over Florida State, Miami, among several others. Why don't we just start there? You said that this was one you kind of felt like could happen for a little while, just based on that cultural fit. And here we are committing to Notre Dame on Monday.
Yeah, so for YouTube folks, you see that good old silver 5-star. That means he's unranked. So Keon Keeley is not ranked as we record this, but I am anticipating like a 4-star. I think that he's going to get that ranking in the next few days would be my assessment. But yeah, this was a big one for Notre Dame. He was loving the Fighting Irish, had weekly calls with the staff. It was really just kind of like a wait and visit. Let's see how things go on a visit. So he was up on campus the weekend of June 11th. Really enjoyed his time there, and sat down with his family and head coach at Berkeley Prep. and decided on like let's pop early. I know in my interactions with his coach, Dominic, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Sio. That's my guess. He had basically flat out told me he's not committing before junior season. But Keeley wanted to be at Notre Dame. Like, why wait if you know where you're going to go? And sometimes there are oftentimes there are decommitments. It happens all the time. But I don't expect the Keon Keeley, to decommit. He is all Notre Dame. His mother was up there with him. She absolutely loved it too. So a really good get here for Notre Dame. 6'6", 230 pounds. Pop on his huddle tape. This is from his sophomore season, but he's long. He's really athletic, and he has all the potential in the world. Patrick, like this was a huge, pickup for Notre Dame, and like you said, he had all those in-state schools, so he pretty much has all of it. Whether you're looking at soon to be will be ranking, but offer lists, like all of. However you look at recruiting, like I don't know how you could look at that one and be like, it's not a good pickup. Like this is the guy that Notre Dame really wanted.
Yeah, there's only 100 players ranked in the 2023 class right now in the Rivals 100. So that's the biggest reason probably why he's not in there.
Well, he's not in the national rankings, but there's others 4 stars outside of the national ranking. But I would maybe check Blue and Gold Friday, check our website Friday. Maybe Keeley is ranked by then. So. Just check it Friday. That's what I'll say.
Eyeball emoji.
Yeah.
Insert eyeball emoji.
Yeah.
So let's get to Brennan Vernon. Why waste any more time getting to one of the bigger commitments, really, of the Brian Kelly era?
Seriously.
And certainly this year. Brennan Vernon, number 9 overall player in Rivals early 2023 rankings from Mentor, Ohio. Trivia time. I'm sure a lot of you Bears fans know that as high school where Mitch Trubisky went. But anyway, Notre Dame beating Ohio State head-to-head for a player in Ohio. It's pretty hard for anybody to do that. I'll read off some numbers here a little bit later on. Notre Dame's actually been more successful than anybody else, relatively speaking. Still a hard thing to do in being able to get players out of Ohio that Ohio State wanted. But before we get into any of that, Mike, I'm just going to open it up here for you. You had been thinking that this was well within the realm of possibility, which I remember when you first said that on here, I thought,
your eyes.
Okay, you just kind of expect this kid. Yes, you just kind of expect these guys to go to Ohio State until they don't. But here we are. Brennan Vernon's going to Notre Dame. How did it happen, and what got it to this point?
Yeah, my 2 working theories, which I'll just say theories. I actually think this is what it is, but we'll just say theories. One is what I said earlier about. Just Notre Dame just connects with certain kids. Like, you just don't know until a kid, like if a kid visits there, it can be anyone. Like a 2-star, 5-star, any recruit, they go and visit Notre Dame. They love it. They could commit. Like Notre Dame is just that kind of program that it just attracts a certain kid. So I think Brennan Vernon really fit Notre Dame. Academically, football, this coaching staff, like he loved Mike Elston and Marcus Freeman, Chad Bowden, Brian Kelly, I'm told did a really nice job. So that's a big thing. And then the other thing, it's just the coaching staff and how great of a job they did. Mike Elston worked him out at Irish Invasion June 6th. I'm told that Notre Dame absolutely loved how he performed there. So just all in all, Brennan Vernon, you have to be extremely fired up if you're a Notre Dame fan about this one. Here's kind of an interesting tidbit, Patrick. I'm going to try to pull up this photo so I can show you guys what I'm describing. But Brennan Vernon loves Vans, like Vans shoes. Like he absolutely, like that's his thing. So, man, why can't I find Brennan Vernon's Twitter page? Or I'm trying to find his Instagram page. He loves Vans shoes. Notre Dame staff very much knew that he loves Vans shoes. So the entire coaching staff at Notre Dame, here we go, bought their own pairs of Vans shoes and wore them. So you see Mike Elston and Marcus Freeman here rocking yellow Vans, and then you have the Vans shoes in the background. Like that's thinking outside the box. Like I don't know who came up with that idea, but that is very smart. I don't know if Brian Kelly was also wearing Vans, but this is a picture of Lance Taylor and Jadarian Price. Look at those shoes. Those are Vans. So again, Notre Dame coaching staff, sorry for podcast audience, you'll just have to believe me. But pretty outside the box stuff, and it wasn't just the defensive coaches that wore those Vans for Brennan Vernon. It was the offensive guys apparently too.
Are you a Vans guy? You ever own a pair of Vans?
I own 2 pairs of Vans. I am a Van. I like Vans. Yeah, I wear them. Actually, I think I have 3 pairs of Vans. Do you?
I've owned 0 pairs in my life.
Shaking my head, Engel.
Haven't quite been able to think I pull off the look.
I don't. I definitely don't pull off the look. I still wear it. I don't pull off any look, so I got no swag.
I wonder what somebody thought, or whoever processes Notre Dame's football expense reports thought when they saw a bunch of Vans on the docket there.
Recruiting.
Maybe now they understand why. Yeah, I think at just some point it's recruiting expense, and you see whatever random things like that. You're just like, oh yeah, recruiting, whatever. It's you just learn to not be surprised by too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brennan Vernon, some interesting numbers here. Since 2016, there have been 21 Rivals top 100 recruits from Ohio who Ohio State has offered, who've made a commitment, signed somewhere, or have played college football. And only 5 of those didn't pick Ohio State. Notre Dame responsible for 3 of them: Tommy Kramer, Lorenzo Styles Jr., and now Brennan Vernon. And worth noting that there are 2 uncommitted 2023 top 100 players that I didn't include in those 2021.
What about Liam Eichenberg? Did you say him?
Not top 100 on Rivals.
Oh, top 100. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Not top 250. Sorry.
That's a great
Eichenberg is ranked
staff.
outside the top 100.
Great crack staff.
Yes. Crack staff came very prepared for this one. I mean, but why are we surprised? They just work tirelessly all the time. Yes. Anyway, 2 uncommitted 2023 players who I didn't include in that group of 21 guys, Notre Dame and Ohio State, after both of them, and that's defensive end Luke Montgomery and Lorenzo Styles' brother, Sonny Styles. So we'll certainly see what happens there. And the other 2 who did leave the state but didn't go to Notre Dame: Jackson Carman, offensive lineman who ended up playing for Clemson, and Jawan Briggs, nose tackle, who signed with Virginia and I believe has since entered the transfer portal. But also,
Riveting stuff.
Vernon is, maybe this is one that's a little more straightforward, Notre Dame's highest ranked commit per Rivals since 2013, Jalen Smith, who was the number 3 overall player. Not bad. Yeah, a big deal in a lot of ways. And I think one thing that I'm sure we had talked about as just a subplot of what can Marcus Freeman's recruiting impact be was he's an Ohio guy. He had been able to make some inroads there with some guys that had, Power 5 offers and whatnot. I don't think, when he was at Cincinnati, I should say, I don't think Cincinnati ever beat out someone in state from Ohio who had an Ohio State offer, to my knowledge. But you'd wonder, okay, now that he's at Notre Dame, is that something he'll be able to do at all, even if it's just once every couple years? Because as those numbers I read off would tell you, it's a hard thing to do. And here's a pretty good indication that, yes, it can happen for Notre Dame, and it can happen because Freeman can have that kind of effect, even if it's just, say, once every 2 or 3 cycles or what have you. That's a big deal and an impact player. So certainly one way that he has, I guess, helped deliver upon that reputation or expectations that you had for him when Notre Dame hired him in January.
You give a ton of credit to Freeman, but Elston, oh yeah, yeah. I'm not saying you weren't going to give credit to Elston, but the dude he's built such a machine at Notre Dame. The defensive line is so well stocked. When we do our top 25 most important players series at blueandgold.com the month of July, I naturally have the defensive linemen a little bit lower because there's just so many. Like if you take Isaiah Foskey off the team, like it's still like a really good defensive line room. So, all right, we've got a super chat. I'm glad we got a super chat. We have to address this because I have thoughts. So read this
Okay.
one for us, Patrick.
All right. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up on Vernon anyway. Yes, certainly can't leave Mike Elston out of this. A great start for him in the 2023 class at what's been Notre Dame's deepest position the last couple of years. But yeah, super chat from Brandon Plenser. Thank you, Brandon. What's the news with Nicholas Singleton, the running back out of Pennsylvania, four-star recruit who took an official visit earlier this year? Big Notre Dame target. Why the recent confidence in Penn State by certain people? Mike, what say you?
You know, I kind of have to filter myself a little bit here, like because I have some strong thoughts. When predictions went in for him to go to Notre Dame, I didn't put one in because I'm like, I think Notre Dame took the. I do think Notre Dame took a slight lead over Penn State after his official visit to Notre Dame, but he didn't commit right afterwards. Like I do think he was close to committing to the Fighting Irish, but he didn't. And then he went to trip to Texas A&M, and then he visited Alabama this past weekend. That gives Penn State plenty of time to make up some ground and even it out. So I know that there's predictions for Notre Dame and then predictions for Penn State. Like there's just waffling there. Like I have not waffled. I've in the same spot as I was a week ago after his official visit. I think Notre Dame is right there, but it's really like it's going to be very difficult for him to not pick Penn State. Right? I mean, like I still think Notre Dame has a fine shot. Has there been any development since Brennan Vernon committed? Like, and I see there's a bunch of questions about Singleton popping up. I have not made any contact with sources in the past few hours about Singleton, so maybe something new has changed. But like, it just fires me up. It's like the changing and waffling on it. I'm like, I'm the same. Like, Penn State was always going to be tough to beat when Futurecast picks went in for Notre Dame. Or there's predictions out there, Crystal Balls, Futurecast, whatever. When those went in for Notre Dame, I mean, I'm the Notre Dame guy at Rivals, and I didn't put one in. I was not hearing that. It was, I didn't feel comfortable enough. So that's it. I mean, the news on Singleton, Brandon, is that he's going to announce to a school sometime soon. That's what I was told a week ago. It's what I'm told this morning. Which school is it? We'll find out together. You know, like the fan base freakouts of we're getting Nicholas Singleton. Oh my God, we're not getting Nicholas Singleton. Like it can just be avoided if you just take a deep breath and follow recruiting that way. So that's at least how I am. But I know that won't ring true with anybody, but we'll see.
Yeah, this is going to be. There we go. Yeah, to wrap it up on Singleton, this is going to be one of those which just kind of tells
Thank you, Brandon.
Recruiting is not for the faint of heart. No matter where he ends up, it'll have been quite a ride. But anyway, yes, super chat, Brandon Coos, thank you. If you have a question, I noticed you didn't ask one in there. Fire them in there, and we'll
let us know if you got a question, Brandon. We got you, man. We're just gonna throw one more. We're just gonna throw one more for Brandon. Appreciate you, man.
Love it.
What else we got on the docket?
Let's take some more questions here.
Let's just get right into it. Yeah. Here's a comment. Michael says, I don't think Notre Dame needs Singleton, but he's more of a want. Need, I mean, I don't know if a running back is going to win you a national championship. Like, is Singleton that good? If a quarterback, I think so. Maybe elite pass rusher, maybe an elite offensive tackle. But a running back, I don't know. To me, the most three important positions on the field are quarterback, defensive end, and offensive tackle. Like you gotta have a good quarterback, you gotta protect your good quarterback, and you gotta go get the other team's good quarterback. So I don't know. I'm maybe in between Scheller's comment here because Singleton's really, really damn good. But I don't know, Patrick. Do you have any
I mean,
thoughts?
he's clearly a want.
He's
I mean,
definitely a
he's
one. Yes,
right.
but
And
I
I
mean
guess
Notre
that's
Dame's
what
Jadarian
matters.
Price. I mean, Audric Estime, Logan Diggs, Chris Tyree, Kyron Williams. That's the last backs you've committed or signed. So I mean, that's not bad.
Right. And that's like theoretically, I think numbers wise, and given who's already in this class and in classes above them, I'm sure they can survive it. But I would, yeah, I guess what matters more is, I mean, they clearly wanted him, and whether that works out or not is more of it, and what relates to the conversation.
Yeah, I am actually getting texts about Singleton now.
People watching.
Uh, this is live. This stuff's happening live. Oh man, I got to read through these.
Well, you do that. Let's get to another question here.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that exhausts.
Actually,
Hey,
Because appreciate you, man. How many super chats for Singleton? Just kidding, or am I? I will let you guys know. You know, I just saw a text out to another source, but gonna keep digging on it. One source says, you know, don't think it's 100% Penn State yet, unless something's happened in the 3 hours, which is basically what I said earlier today. So maybe something has happened, but we will we'll just see. You know, here's a question. Devon Pugh. So I'll set this one up for you, Patrick. Devon Pugh, freshman Notre Dame defensive end. He was one-time UCLA commit. Fighting Irish offered him day before Thanksgiving of last year. Flipped them pretty soon afterwards. All of a sudden enters the transfer portal. It's pretty much out of the blue and was like, 15 minutes after Brennan Vernon announced his commitment. Now, are those two things related? I cannot imagine. But I know people would want to go there. I can't imagine that's related. But what was your reaction to seeing Devon Pugh, post on Instagram that he's transferring?
it was kind of out of the blue, but interesting. The thing that caught my eye was our rivals transfer portal tracker had
let me pull that tweet up.
Good idea. Didn't want to be contacted by other schools, so I guess that makes you wonder is he going to continue playing college football anyway?
Yeah.
Which
So
if that's the case, I'm sure it's a decision that wasn't an easy one for him. But yeah, that was what stood out, as Mike has highlighted on the screen here for our YouTube audience. Does not want to be contacted by other schools.
And then someone responded and said, what does that mean exactly? And then Rivals Transfer Portal responded, usually means he already knows where he is going and doesn't want to be bothered by other schools, or so he might just be going to UCLA, like he knows it, which then he's already been talking to UCLA. He can't talk to UCLA while he's on Notre Dame's team, but or he's done playing football. I don't know. I really haven't been able to dig into it yet, but it was definitely surprising, given the timing and everything. But I'm sure I would imagine it was a personal thing, whether he's homesick or something going on with his family. So definitely just wish the best for Devon Pugh. He's a nice player, a high upside guy. So
I haven't dug into it either, as we're recording literally an hour or so after it happened. But yeah, you would think you wouldn't enter the transfer portal if you're totally done. So yeah, you imagine that someone has an idea of where he wants to go, but we'll see. Yeah, I think it would have been unlikely that he would have played this year, given that he was a kind of a guy who needs some more time to develop. I think he was going to end up playing more of an off-ball linebacker role anyway, and given, of course, what's in front of him at defensive end at Notre Dame in 2021.
Yeah, I popped this comment up on the screen earlier. Pat looks like a Skechers guy. My mind did not read Skechers. It told me Vans. So I'm just now seeing this, and I had this up on the screen for a few seconds. So Patrick, I am very sorry for putting that on the screen. You do not look like a Skechers guy to me.
No, never like, on Skechers ever.
Like just some solid, maybe some nice boat shoes.
I hate Sperry's.
Oh, geez.
No boat shoes, no Skechers, no.
So what are you rocking? I can't remember. Last time I was with you, I don't remember what you were wearing. Just tennis shoes?
Yeah, I mean, like just if it's tennis shoes, it's Nike
Yeah.
or nothing. But I'm I'm not a sneakerhead or anything. I have a lot of shoes, but it's more like all right, I like nice shoes or non sneaker shoes or whatever. So
I
no,
hear you.
not a Skechers guy.
You know what's interesting in the YouTube chat? No one's asking about Zach Rice. Like, I think um, this is something to talk about. Like, Notre Dame is in this thing more than people realize. Like, it's a top five of Alabama, Notre Dame, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio State. I think it's really three schools. I reported this in the Gold Standard yesterday. I really think it's Notre Dame, Virginia, in North Carolina, and I actually think Notre Dame might have passed up Virginia, and he has a lot of family ties to the Cavaliers. I think Notre Dame might be right there with North Carolina. Like, that's how great his official visit went, and I think it helps that Notre Dame got the last visit in June. So what's on his mind now is he's in a dead period for the next month. Notre Dame. Now, can he get back to campus again? That would help. If he's not going to decide this summer, say he decides in November or December or something, having another trip to see a game day atmosphere would be helpful for Notre Dame and Zach Rice's recruitment. But as Peach says, Big Fish, that's of course Blake Fisher and Zach Rice relationship is like no other. I know that they're very good friends now. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and got a question here. What's your recruiting guy telling you with Notre Dame's chances with Rice? Like I said, I think Notre Dame's got a solid chance now. I'm not going to give you a okay. What's your recruiting gut? He says recruiting gut, not recruiting guy. Um, yeah, my gut tells me that Notre Dame is very close there. Tyler Horka, our new staff writer, says I look like the Skechers guy. I'm not gonna lie, I almost bought some New Balance shoes here recently. I think New Balance has more swag than people realize, or it's just I'm lame. But Tyler, let's give Tyler a DJ air horn. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at TB HORKA. I've never spelled that out before. So Tyler Horka, we appreciate you, my man. And B Coos is back with a super chat. We appreciate you, man.
All right. Thanks again, BQs, for another one. His question is, what does offensive recruiting or Notre Dame offensive recruiting has been solid. What does it have to do to match the recruiting prowess on on-field production? Curious in your opinion. So, offensive recruiting. Why don't we start it there, Mike? What say you?
If you look at it each position, let's just look at 2022 class, right? Steve Angeli, a really darn good quarterback. I was talking to a source in South Bend just, was it this morning or yesterday? Just continued really to hear really good things about Steve Angeli. Like, folks at Notre Dame are really excited about Steve Angeli. Like, there's a reason they offered him first. So you're excited there. Jadarian Price, 4-star running back. My sources in South Bend, very excited about him. And they're not just going to tell me they're super excited about everybody. Like, I'm not an idiot. Like, I can tell, like, who, they're like specifically excited about. Jadarian Price is a guy who they're more excited about now than they were, even 3 months ago when he committed. So Jadarian Price, even if Notre Dame doesn't get Nicholas Singleton, I think the Irish might just stand pat with Jadarian Price because they really do like him, and they signed 2 running backs last year. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. Receiver. Amari Walker is blowing up, right? Alabama, LSU offers, runs a 4.41. Notre Dame fans want speed. There you go. Like, he's a stud. I've got a future cast pick in for Notre Dame to land CJ Williams. Future cast pick in for Notre Dame to land Tobias Merriweather. Future cast pick in for Notre Dame to land Nicholas Anderson. Plan A, plan A, plan A, plan A, all 4. Like, that was like his top of the board guys. Del Alexander, those 4. So that's pretty darn good. Tight end, Holden Stays, Penn State decommit. Like, Notre Dame fell in love with him. Eli Raridan, they fell in love with. It was really his basketball tape, Eli Raridan, that Notre Dame was like, wow, like, this kid is quite an athlete. Like, we really want him. So going through those positions looks pretty darn good. Offensive line, Ty Chan, Under Armour All-American, Joey Tanona, All-American Bowl, Ashton Craig. uh, 3-star guy. Staff worked him out. They really liked him. So when you go through each of them, like there's a lot to like. So yeah, defense's recruiting has been incredible. Like linebacker class, I think might be the best in the country. The defensive line class is excellent. Corner and safety class, Jaden Mickey, solid 4-star prospect. What is next there? We'll see. But like, I really don't think there's a huge difference in like, wow, our offensive staff stinks. They need to recruit like the defense. I just don't see that. Like, I think the offensive recruiting is really good. I think the defensive recruiting is really good. I would give a slight edge to the defense right now because of specifically the linebackers, and keeping in mind that Jalen Sneed's commitment seems likely sometime, in the next few weeks. Add him there, and I think he's a 5-star type player. So those are my thoughts, Biku's, and I really appreciate all the super chats. So Patrick, am I saying anything ridiculous?
No, I mean, I think it'd be disappointing, or like that would be I guess a question that's more top of mind. Say if it doesn't work out with Singleton and Darren wouldn't have worked with those top 3 running back targets, or it doesn't work with a couple of bigger offensive line targets who are, say, top 100 kids, or if something slips with CJ Williams or Tobias Merriweather or whatnot. But I mean, I think some of it is just the fact that some of these defensive targets have decided earlier. And yeah, again, maybe even like ultimately, I guess it's just we'll see on signing day, because like you said, there's a very plausible path for the offensive class to end up in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, just going back to the point of, it's usually a long game of, not one single commitment or to Notre Dame or elsewhere is a thing of, a referendum on exactly how offensive recruiting or defensive recruiting is going or not. Usually it takes a little while or a few months to really decide, like, all right, this was successful, this was disappointing, what have you. But yeah, I mean, I theoretically, like, should Nicholas Singleton go to Penn State? Yeah, you can look at that as a disappointment. Sure, those were 3 big running back targets they wanted, and in that case, wouldn't have gotten. But no, I don't think there's this giant chasm per se when you look at still who's on the offensive board and who's still very possibly a guy who could end up in the class.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to stick with it. Like Dale Alexander and Jeff Quinn continue to be the 2 that like Notre Dame fans are after the most. Like Lance Taylor, like people still love Lance Taylor, but if it goes 0 for 3, now is Lance Taylor like now people coming after him? Like I don't know. I'm fascinated by it. I love you Notre Dame fans, and seeing what you guys have to come up with next, in kind of for lack of a better term, narratives that come out with the coaching staff. Like it always fascinates me. We do have a couple of comments about New Balance. Peach says some New Balance go hard. Michael Scheller says New Balance has some dope running shoes. So that's not bad. So make sure for folks who are maybe you joined a little bit later in our YouTube live, or you're watching this back, please hit that thumbs up. And if you want to, we got plenty of questions, and we're totally blessed with this big group we have on a Tuesday in June. But if you want to guarantee your question be answered, just go ahead and drop us a super chat. We will definitely get to that. But in the meantime, Mason has a quick question for us.
Any updates on Benjamin Morrison, he asks. This is the 4-star cornerback out of the Phoenix area.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, Mason. I thought he was going to commit to Notre Dame following got a text in there. Nope, not a source. Father-in-law's friend. I thought Morrison was going to commit to Notre Dame. Yeah, again, soon after that visit, and you see my future cast picking May 28th for him to go to Notre Dame. Cody Cameron, who I believe is he's a high school reporter in the state of Arizona for Rivals. He put in a pick for Washington. I think that one might be trending Washington, because like that was a school. It was going to be Notre Dame or Washington. Alabama's also in the mix, but like I know he took an official visit there. I think that one went really well. I felt like he was a lock to Notre Dame, but that one seems to be swinging back to Washington, which is really interesting. Still think Notre Dame's defensive back class is going to be pretty good. I don't like. It's not going to have six guys like it did last year, so it's hard to compare like a class of four to a class of six. But I think it might be slightly better than last year, especially at the corner position if they do get Devon Moore and even Benjamin Morrison to pair with Jaden Mickey. The safety position, if you get Xavier Nwankpa and or Jake Pope, that's a really good group. So I think it'll be a little bit better than last year. I did like Ryan Barnes, like Philip Riley. Kari G was a great late flip. But to me, there was no brainer studs in the defensive backfield in that 2021 class for Notre Dame. I think you definitely have that with this 2022 class. I think Devon Moore to me is a no-brainer. Like, he is a complete baller. Benjamin Morrison, I'm not as familiar with him as I am Devon Moore because I see him more in person. But he has a really strong bloodlines. He's a really nice corner as well with some safety versatility. Jaden Mickey, I feel like, is a very safe get for Notre Dame. Sorry, not trying to trail on, but and if you get Xavier Nwankpa, that is, that's like, I don't want to say Kyle Hamilton type impact, but like he is like an All-American caliber football player.
Cody Lyman asks, latest on Billy Schroff, top 150 lineman out of Wisconsin.
It's kind of similar to Singleton. That in-state school's got a ton of let me pull up his rivals profile for our YouTube audience. Yeah, it's similar to Singleton, whereas that in-state power is kind of just making things difficult. He was a guy who was considered a Notre Dame lean forever. Like, I mean, since last July, like I've been thinking this kid went to Notre Dame. I mean, you see my FutureCast pick in July 30th of 2020. So, again, long time coming up on a year now. It's really down to Notre Dame or Wisconsin. I think some people are starting to, reporters out there seem to be thinking it's leaning Wisconsin. My sources talking over the weekend, I'm told Billy Schroth had some good productive conversations with the Fighting Irish staff. What else is there left to say, though? I mean, he just has to come to a decision. So that's pretty much the latest. I know it's not the juicy update you were looking for. Like, we just have to see, but that's what it's come down to. He's taken his official visits. I expect him to make a decision in July, and we'll just have to see where it goes from there. So, again, don't think that's the answer you wanted, but we will just have to see. So,
what else we got here?
Yeah, let's see through the questions. Mason, thanks for the insight. You're the man. I appreciate you, Mason. Sean Lewis, got to have your grass cutting balances too. I have a riding tractor, so shoes are not super important. Michael Scheller, so when can we expect some 2023 dominoes to fall? I think Carnell Tate would be a big one for Notre Dame. He's committing November 14th. He put out on Instagram today or yesterday. So that one might be a little bit farther down. Let's see. Drake Bowen, Notre Dame would love to have. The one I'm keeping a close eye on is Justin Rhett. He is a four-star cornerback from Las Vegas, Bishop Gorman. And, he got his offer from Notre Dame during Irish Invasion Camp, June 6th. I'm told he's fascinated by Notre Dame, and I put in a FutureCast pick in for him to land there. Let's see when that was, June 24th, so 5 days ago I put in a FutureCast pick. So I feel like Notre Dame, that might be the one to keep an eye on next. But we will we'll have to see on that one.
Peach asks, do you guys think Notre Dame has a chance with Dante Moore, four-star quarterback out of Detroit King? I know he's coming back to South Bend again. He visited just this past weekend. We had a story on him go up. Mike, what's your feel there?
Yeah, we'll take a couple more questions and then we'll get out of here. My voice is about to go. I desperately need some water. I always forget to bring water for these shows, but I do think Notre Dame has a chance with Dante Moore. I felt like that since Notre Dame offered him on St. Patrick's Day. Um, I don't. He didn't tell me he's coming back to South Bend. I think he's planning to. I don't know if he is definitely locked in for that, but I think Notre Dame's got a chance. He had a good bonding session with Carnell Tate, who I just talked about. So that's really nice. I mean, Dante Moore, number 30 player in the country. Tate, I think, is just inside the top 50. That would be a dream scenario for that coaching staff at Notre Dame. But, you wrote the story, Patrick. I mean, the quotes seem really good, like Dante Moore. Also highly considering Ohio State and Michigan. In my opinion, I think it'll be one of those three schools. All right. I do not have a zero-turn lawnmower. That is out of my price budget. I've got what do I have? A 42-inch Craftsman riding mower. But I don't think I could handle that kind of zero-turn lawnmower. So I think that's good.
Concrete in downtown South Bend doesn't need mowing. So yeah,
you guys are good.
This is all completely out of my element, but yes.
I got over an acre of land here in South Atlanta. So when I bought this house, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta mow the lawn. I'll just get a push mower, and then I realized, oh, that would take me like 4 hours to do. So, all right, here's the last question. We'll take this one and get out of here.
All right, Emma Eckstein asked, do you think Ohio State or Notre Dame will land Carnell Tate?
I've got a FutureCast pick in for Notre Dame. He visited 3 times this month. Visited Ohio State twice. I always say to follow the visits. Does one more visit to Notre Dame mean more? I don't know. He's in Chicago for the summer. It's closer from Chicago to Notre Dame than it is to Columbus. But, he brought his family up to campus this past weekend. Like more family. I think the last 2 times it wasn't as many. Maybe just drove over by himself. But mom, a few other family members, I'm told, made that trip. So that's interesting. I've got a FutureCast pick in for Notre Dame. I'm not planning on changing it anytime soon. He set that November 14th commitment date. We will see if it changes. But again, for now, I like Notre Dame for Carnell Tate. But confidence level, not very high.
Well, yeah, I think that's that'll do it. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Who watch
Patrick,
live? And
let's just go 3 hours. Yeah. Dude, let's just go 3 hours.
Who needs water, right? Who needs to mow the lawn, right? No, that'd be fun. But yes, thanks for leaving us questions. Thank you for leaving us super chat, Mike. I think we might have had enough super chat balance for you to go buy a pair of New Balance. So tell us next time if you in fact did that. I mean, it would help your current situation, as Tyler said, of no swag. So unless you just buy those random white ones that are whatever the equivalent of Nike Air Monarchs are, then that would be even worse for your swag. But I digress. Let's get out of here. Appreciate you guys listening once again. If you're listening on our podcast format, if you be so kind, leave us a rating, leave us a review, hit that thumbs up button, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. Follow me at Patrick Engel _. Follow Mike at Rivals _Singer. We will talk to you again soon. Till then, take care.